What the stupidest argument you've ever gotten into? That if you go on someone's property, you're their property. Needless to say, he isn't very bright. He's locked up in my garage now. Way back when I was a phone service advisor for a credit card company, this lady called in confused as hell about a piece of mail we had sent her. "I don't understand why you sent me a bill. I paid for the TV at the store with my card." "Yes, ma'am. Now this is the bill for using your credit card." "But I used my credit card. Why would I have to pay again?" This went on for about a good hour. This poor excuse for an adult believed that a credit card with just an all-access pass to buy anything you wanted for free. That was a devastating job. My wife and I got into a shouting match as to whose friend's wedding we would attend if they scheduled them for the same weekend. Neither was even engaged yet. I once got in an argument with my roommate about who could raise the fastest duck. I was in a fraternity in college and a sorority on campus had invited us to participate in a rubber duck race fundraiser where the rubber ducks would float down a creek through campus and the person that bought the winning duck got a prize. Being the smartass I am, I asked the sorority president if I could enter a real duck. She didn't believe I would and said yeah sure. Whatever Matman 88. Later that night my roommate and I got drunk and got in a heated debate over who could raise the faster duck. We woke up the next morning and headed to the nearest poultry farm where we each bought a duckling and raised it for the next month and a half. Their names were Cheese and Quackers. One day I came home to find all sorts of witchcraft spellbooks strewn about our counter. I asked him what they were and he opened one up, grabbed my duck and started cursing it. Apparently he had gone to a palm reader to seek advice as a joke. We kept them in our fenced-in backyard and the day after he had cursed my duck a storm blew down part of our fence and our ducks escaped. I still blame the voodoo curse to this day. My duck Quackers easily would have won and he had to resort to consulting the great beyond to ruin the entire race for both of us. Friend farts. Me. Did you just fart? Friend. No I didn't. Me. Yes you did. Friend. No I didn't. You liar. Silence. Only a horrible smell. He was the only one with me in that room, and he's known for lying. He didn't fart. He pooped himself. I had an ex argue with me over which would weigh more, a pound of bricks or a pound of feathers. We went back and forth forever while I tried to explain it to her. It did not help when her mother chimed in with what about a pound of wet feathers? The apple does not fall far from the tree. No, her mother knew. What she did was toss a grenade into the conversation and walked away. A woman I used to work with at a university got into an argument with me because she didn't believe that the different races of humans were, in fact, the same species. Her final argument: "You're wrong. It's like whites and Native Americans are just like fish and dolphins. They're both in the ocean, but not the same species. Now do you get it?" No, not really. And, not at all coincidentally, this was the worst group of coworkers I have ever had. Was she a plantation owned from the 1800s? No, because plantation owners from the 1800s knew that if you had sex with a female slave she got pregnant, which means you're the same species. Basically, this woman was too racist to effectively own slaves. The arguments you have where someone is venting at you at something infuriating and you agree with them, but they are so mad that they want to argue with you about it, even though you agree with them and say yes throughout the conversation. That is like 80% of my conversations on Reddit. My friend was convinced selfish was pronounced shellfish. I wrote out the word out, sounded it out, and it was like I was saying the sun was blue. She just wouldn't have it. I don't know if she was screwing with me, but 2 to 3 years after that whole argument we got in a different argument about her basically being a bitch and she says sorry. I was being shellfish, I couldn't stay mad at that moron. My friend, I think you were the victim of a long con. Yep. Now she doesn't have to admit to being egocentric, just a little crabby. Jane. It was about -40 outside in the winters. Bill. Celsius or Fahrenheit? Me. They're actually the same at -40. Jane. Really? Bill. No, they aren't. You're talking shit. Me. I'm 99% sure that they are the same at -40. Bill. I have a physics degree. You're an idiot. Bill then went on to reference my idiocy twice more over the course of the evening. Bill is a twat. I've a friend like this that likes to be technically correct but is also always wrong. He was convinced Jesus was Spanish. And the reason so many Latin, Spanish, why people have the name Jesus is because the Mayans were invented when the Spanish went to the Middle East and took Jesus to Mexico. His entire argument was you're wrong, you're so dumb, OMG, Jesus was Spanish because they took him, how could you be so dumb? Ever hear something so stupid you started making noises like a walrus trying to contain stupidity vomit? My wife and I got into a screaming match because our broccoli wasn't growing as well as we thought it should. And clearly it was the other person's fault. Our marriage, where the big things matter less and the little things are explosive. Honey, I got fired, that's okay, we'll work through this together. Honey, I moved the cereal to the left side of the pantry, are you kidding me? The right side is clearly more easily accessible, I want a divorce. She rearranged the spice cabinet once. I almost sent her to live with her family for a while. Me and my friend are both smokers. We were talking to my other friend who wasn't. The non-smoking friend was saying how bad smoking is, etc., and that we should both quit, and my smoking friend was arguing that smoking wasn't bad for you at all and he had no reason to quit. Now at first I thought he was joking, but no, he was deadly serious. So I informed him he was wrong and that smoking does indeed kill people. He got angry, screamed that we were lying, then left and hasn't spoken to me since. This was like 6 years ago. He's not dead, just stupid. Haha, that's the most sincere, hardcore form of denial I've heard in a while. When I was 6, my friend and I stood facing each other, arguing about which hand was your left, and which was your right. It took us about 5 minutes to realize that, when standing opposite someone, your left side is their right. I couldn't understand this concept in kindergarten. The teacher would stand up in front of us and refer to her left as my right. This about sent me into a panic attack as a kid. Had I gone my whole life confusing left for right? What was wrong with me? I went home thinking kindergarten was gonna be really tough and that I'd never be good at school. Not me, but my parents. They got into an argument about a little bit of sauce getting wasted because it came out too fast. My dad got pissed off about it because he's just quit smoking, and they haven't spoken to each other for nearly 2 days now. My cousin said that her laptop was overheating and making a buzzing sound. Her friend piped up and commented that it was most definitely a virus, and she should take it to Geek Squad to have it removed. I said no, it's not a virus. It's probably your fan. Your fan is messed up. It's probably just dusty. Try cleaning that out. Note: I am not an IT professional, but come on. This girl got righteously pissed and told me that no, it was a virus. And she knows because she had the same issue with her laptop a few months ago and Geek Squad fixed it. This went back and forth for a bit with me insisting that a virus doesn't affect the fan function. It was literally a hardware issue. And she was talking to me like she couldn't believe how stupid I was to not realize that a virus was making my cousin's laptop fan bog down. I finally explained to her how viruses work, and she stomped her foot like a child and exploded that it's still a virus. The virus just deleted the file that runs the fan. I stare at her in disbelief. The file that runs the fan? What is that? Fan.x. And she said finally, you get it. She was so convinced that this was the case that my cousin, not noted for her critical thinking skills, believed her and said she'd just take the laptop in to have it checked and cleaned. Whatever. If you wanna pay out the ass to have some smug douche at Geek Squad fix your laptop, ain't my business. My friend once tried to argue that Token, the black character in South Park, was named as such because black people are stereotypically always talking on weed and crack. I argued that it was because he's the token black character. I'm pretty sure they specifically say this in at least one episode. Also, you know, because his name is literally Token Black. Fighting with my brother about which fruit would win if they were sentient and could fight. Obviously pineapple. At the olive bars at grocery stores. You can buy these cherry peppers that are stuffed with prosciutto and cheese. Well, my dad and I love them things, and one day he bought a bunch of them. Through the course of the week, we ate them all, except one, which sat in the container for 3 days, uneaten. So, I ate it, and that's where I went wrong. 2 weeks went by before my dad would speak to me again, simply because I ate the last pepper before he did. The color of lobsters before being cooked. They only catch the red ones for eating, duh. I was living with a buddy and we were getting on each other's nerves. One night we were arguing about whether to break spaghetti noodles in half. I finally said, "You cook yours your way broken and I'll cook mine unbroken." He took half the spaghetti from the package and broken the noodles in half, put them in boiling water and started stirring, while I stood there with the package. Mostly we glared at each other. Then he reminded me to add my half to the pot. After I did it, then he thought of something. How are we going to separate the long noodles from the short ones? In my family, we always broke them in half to better fit in the pot. When I moved in with my then boyfriend, he thought this was weird and wrong, so I stopped. Then when we broke up and I got my own place, I celebrated by making pasta and breaking those little fuckers in half. It was when I knew I was truly free.